there we go. No sunshine today at all. Nothing here. Look at this. It's been quite a while since we've had a day like this. Spring weather. It's warmer outside and wet, wet, wet. Something else different too. The people on the restaurant across the street, they've come back. They've been shut down for the months. But they're back. They choose a real good day to open up again. I don't know. But I've got the camera in a different place, and I couldn't put the camera at the usual location because it's pouring. So I had to bring the camera about, I don't know, half a meter or so inside the underhang. So it's a bit of a slightly different angle that we normally see. So a normal day in the north of England. It's a normal day for where I grew up too. Most of the place I grew up in, a lot in Vancouver. So this was the weather there from November till, well, all year long. Okay. As you can see, we're on the same block here. I did spend a lot of time on this block the other day after the stream was over. So the first dog is now quite a lot moved on. We're going to keep working on the first dog here today. But we're getting closer at last. We're getting closer on this block. And the schedule, we're going to be sitting here carving on this. There is a show and tell. I have two things thinking about. I brought from upstairs, I did bring a package of prints that we could look at for show and tell if plan A doesn't work. And plan A is there's a package due to be delivered this morning by the Takubin guy, not the post office, the Takubin guy. He usually comes, around 9 o'clock or so. So if he does show up at 9 o'clock, and if he does have this package, which is supposed to be delivered today, then we will do an actual unboxing, because it's a really special item. I thought it had arrived the other day. In the stream on Thursday, towards the end of the stream, the guy did deliver something, and I was thinking, it's early, but is that it? Is that it? And it turned out not to be the one I was thinking about. So it's a good job I didn't stop and open it on Thursday. But I did check the tracking number now, and it is due to be set up, to be delivered this morning. What comments? Video, yeah, I had absolutely nothing to do with this one. This is 100% Cameron and Aoyama-san and Sugi-san. They planned what to do, what to talk about, how to film it. There was lots of feedback among the three of them. Aoyama-san made the first color and sent some stuff, and Cameron was like, well, okay, but that's all right, but let's try this instead. And the three of them put that thing together. And I was a bit worried when I put it up, because I knew there were going to be some comments along the line of, oh no, this isn't Dave, that kind of stuff. And there were, if you look at the comments, there were a couple of comments like that. But I think most people understand, we've got to widen the scope of our work here. This shouldn't and can't, and in no way should be a Dave show. There's 20 people here making these prints. Delegating part of the video production is something I've been, Cameron's been trying to do more, and I've just been sort of, yeah, whatever, let's talk about it later, whatever. So, and they did a good job on this one. There were some comments that I actually didn't understand, and maybe I can get a hint from you guys here. There was a comment first, somebody said this was like a what did he say? He said it's like a documentary from some decades ago. And I'm not really sure what to say about that, because I don't have a TV, I don't see movies, I don't know about what that means. What is there in the style there that makes it look like a documentary from some decades ago? Other than maybe it's just the slow pace. These days things are smash, bash, crash all the time. So and we're not going to do that. So I guess maybe that's what he meant. I don't know. And then one thing, when Cameron and I were just getting ready to put it up, Cameron did the uploading into Google, we had checked over it to see if it was okay, this and that, and we'd actually retook a few things, and Cameron re-edited. I had to redo my intro because it was so bad, the first one I did. But just before we did upload it, I remembered one thing and mentioned to Cameron, and he agreed that we could do that. And he put some credits in, not in the actual video. I thought he should have done that, but he put them in on the YouTube page. And I guess he's kind of joking a bit, whatever. He put cinematography by Howie Yamasa. We had sort of joked about that, but he did it for real. And people started replying, love this cinematography. And I'm like, okay. So, this jumper is not 27 years old. It's like 2.5 years old. Jed sent it to me for Christmas a couple of years ago. What are you talking about? Ureters? I don't know what the conversation is. Is there a medical conversation going on? Oh, speaking about camera work. There was a video I saw the other day, nothing to do with about printmaking. I saw a cool video the other day, and it had, well, I don't know about it now, but it had, when I saw it the other day, it had nearly no views on YouTube, and it was an astonishing, what do you call it? FPV video from a drone. And it absolutely blew me away. I don't know if I should link to it here, not right now during this stream, but yeah, we could link to it. Remind me later or something, or the mods here know about it. They could link to it and you can look at it later. John's got it. Has somebody, wind willows? Yes. So, yeah, everybody knows about this already. That's fine. Then whatever, let it go. But if you follow back through the people who made that, go to their YouTube page because they've got other ones. They've got a movie theater one, which is also really cool. Not quite as dramatic because it doesn't have bowling balls and stuff. When I first saw the bowling ball video, it had like 200 views, and I'm thinking, like, what is going on? And I'm not sure whether it's real or how much of it is CGI. It just looks too perfect. The lighting. The drone runs from dark areas to light areas. The focus is always perfect. I don't know. It looks too perfect. How do you get the lighting to be so perfect? Or is that all done in post? I don't know. Well, the audio must have been done in post because there's no drone sound. So the audio clearly is in post-production. There's no question about that. but how much of the video itself, and how much was auto control, and how much was some guy actually driving it. You know. But it was so well done. This is jaw-dropping, spectacular skill. It was wonderful. And it is real. You can see the shadows. They put up 2 special lights at the back of the bowling alley. You can see them if you watch the back of the room behind where the people stand doing their bowling. They set up 2 special lights, one in each corner, really super bright lights to fill the room with light. And because of those lights, there's shadows that get thrown all over the place. And you can see the drone shadow here and there as it moves across. So clearly there is a real place in a real drone. It's not completely CGI, but is it all real? I don't know. When the delivery driver comes this morning, the Takubin guy, it depends who it is. There's 2 or 3 guys who share this route, and I will need to apologize to him this morning when he comes. If it's the same guy who came yesterday, you know. I was not so polite to him yesterday. Really stupid behavior on my part. I was not polite. And, what had happened was Cameron and I had been looking at that video and trying it and testing it and stuff. And I had found one place in the video that I really wanted Cameron to change. He was describing something, and I felt the description was wrong, so I asked for a change just after he'd finished all the editing, you know. And he agreed to redo it and change it. But what that did was, because he was going to be re-rendering the video, it also meant we could do another change. The original intro that I had done for it, I had been careless. I had done it quickly, and it wasn't really good, and it was careless. So, but now that we had decided we had to re-render the whole video anyway, let's redo Dave's part. So I retook my intro to it. I was doing that yesterday morning. I normally do these things at night when the town is quiet, when there's not so much noise outside, nobody interrupts us. But we were then yesterday on a schedule. So in the morning, it was about this time, it was about a normal streaming time, I was doing my retake of the opening scene of the video. And it's noisy out there, you know. So first one was spoiled, a motorbike went by. I just reset, start the camera again, cut the mic, start again. Then I was in the middle of the second take, and Yamada-san, our employee who comes Friday, I'd forgotten he was going to be there, and he showed up just after 9 o'clock, banged the door, came in, and I'm like, I was taking a recording, you know, okay, whatever, smile, laugh about it, blah, blah, blah. Tell him to go upstairs, keep out of the way for half an hour, and he did. And I put a sign on the door, on air, recording in progress, you know, to try and help this, you know. So, and then I started the third take, and you know where this is going. The delivery driver, taxi driver, just barged in. He didn't stop to read the sign, you know. And I wasn't polite. I had been so frustrated by not doing it, and cameras on a timeline. I banged my hand on the table. I'm recording, you know. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. So I was a jerk. I should have just laughed at him because it wasn't his fault, of course. He didn't know, you know. So if it's the same guy this morning, I'm going to have to apologize to him. So. Is Cameron in the chat today? I would doubt it. It's the weekend. Cameron is off Saturday and Sunday. He doesn't exist. He's gone. He won't be here today at all. Papers out. Yes, 3 packages of papers are out, all for the same person. Ishikawa-san will be working. You'll see her. Ishikawa-san will come here. What's her normal time? She shows up about 9 o'clock at the front door. She's doing test printing on the 4th print in this year's series. Sugi-san did a batch of tests. Ishikawa-san did a batch of tests, and today is deciding day. I have to look at all these tests, chat with Ishikawa-san, and we're going to decide what we're going to do. And I think the answer is chocolate. I think the answer is chocolate. You saw some of the test prints the other day, and I think the answer is chocolate. No, color-wise. We're talking about the color of the print, chocolate. The printers here don't get chocolate eggs, so. I'm not sure what the question is. I'm having trouble when I try to cut the other side of a line on a key block. I can't see where the first line is, so I'm cutting blind. I'm not sure what you mean. We have the same situation happening exactly here. We have lines on a key block. Not quite sure what you mean. In this one, here's the first side. The first side has been cut already. I put my knife down here. I ran down the first side. And now I have to carve the other side. And it's still visible. I'm not quite sure what you mean. If it's super fine and delicate, you can't see much of it, like every line I'm carving right now today. If it's not visible, maybe what you could do is cut away the waste wood. For example, look at this. Cut away the waste wood on one side of your line, and that should leave the other side more visible. I'm not quite sure what the question is. We're talking about food and stuff. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what the question is there. So. One thing I have made sure before I start carving any of these key blocks is, of course, I want these lines to be as clear and as visible as possible. That's why we use this layer of thin gampi, this method. So the lines are absolutely clearly visible. I just put a bit of oil on that part to make it even sharper and clear. If it's fuzzy or indistinct, then you're screwed before you start. idea what you're all talking about. It's okay, whatever. John's off to do some work, do some real work. It's about time, John-san. Clock change coming up, I guess. So, I don't know where you are. I know there's no clock change happening here, of course. So if you're in an area where there is a clock change happening, be aware that the streams are going to be for you at different times, because we don't change clocks here in Japan at all. So. Is it this weekend? I didn't really know. I guess these days it's really splitting up. It's different rules in different places. It's really become fractured. Oh, my mother's in. Good morning, Mom. Hello, hello. Walking, eh? So, walking. I had a good walk yesterday, hour and a half last night. What's the question? What changes have I found within myself since moving to Tokyo? I'm not quite sure I know what that means. I know. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what to say. What changes have I found? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I came here in 1986 and I was 35, and now I'm 70 this year. So there's been lots of changes. But whether it's because it's Tokyo, I don't really think so. I think I'm the kind of person, I live wherever what can I say? My home is wherever I live. So before it was Britain, then it was different places in Canada, and now it's Tokyo. It's been different places in Tokyo. It doesn't seem to bother me, I think, where I am. Home is wherever I park the bod, So I'm not sure. It's a bit of a non-answer. I'm sorry, but for me, the where doesn't really seem to be particularly important. Actually, I got to emphasize that. When we first moved here to Tokyo, I spent 15 years in the same apartment, and then bought a house and spent, again, another 15 years there, really. So it's 15 years, 15 years. But the past 5 years, I haven't been in either of those homes. I've been just crashing on the floor. I sleep on the floor here in our shop. I've been doing that for over 5 years now. And when I go back to Ome every now and then, I go back to where my house is. I went out there a couple of weeks ago to talk to some of the staff members out there. And it's not even like going home. It's just like, I get on the train and go out to that place where we do the shipping from. I go in the front door, and actually it's my home. And there's bookshelves and clothes in the closet and uneaten food in the refrigerator and stuff like that. But I don't have any sense of it as home. It's just that, I get on the train and go out to that place and talk to the staff and then whatever. So I don't know. We've sort of talked about this a bit before. I know the word is a strange word. Homeless is a strange word. These days it has a different meaning. But because I was peripatetic all the time, and still peripatetic, I don't have any sense of being attached to the place where I am. Here today, somewhere else tomorrow. So I can't give you some sort of interesting psychological answer to that question. I'm sorry. I think Tokyo just happens to be the place where I'm at these days. That's all, really. What about my wife? No wife these days. I've been single now divorced for, when did we separate? We separated in 1990. She went to school overseas. So it's 30 years ago. I've been single for 30 years. Well, actually, there is something I could mention then about that conversation about the place where you are and stuff like that. It's a little bit private, but I guess it's okay. I said I was divorced about 30 years ago, back in 1990. And the lady was Japanese. We had met in Canada. And she had, in her words actually, she had escaped from Japan. That was an era where Japanese women were less allowed to do stuff than they are now. I mean, it's an open, interesting conversation, but back then, the specific example, she was a woman in her 30s, and she wanted to change her life and go back to university and study stuff and do things. And here in Japan, that wasn't possible. This is back then in the 1970s and 1980s. The idea that a person in their 30s would go back to university wasn't possible in Japan back then. It is now, of course. So she had, in her words, escaped to Canada, where you can do stuff like that, where a woman could do stuff like that. She met this guy, me, and enjoyed life over there very much. Didn't go quite perfectly because we had to come to Japan because she came to a part of her life where her parents very much needed help. They were really getting quite old. There weren't any other family members who were able to help, so that's one of the reasons why we came to Japan back when we did in the mid-1980s. She had to do a tour of duty helping take care of her parents, and we did. We brought them into our home, actually. They were really, really quite elderly, and they couldn't take care of themselves, so we brought them into our home in Japan. I said I lived in an apartment. And then a few years went by and the parents passed away. And at that point, for her, the reason to stay in Japan was not so strong. So she wanted to go back to Canada, where she felt more free and where she felt it was a society she liked better than Japan, where she grew up. But by then, we really had strong roots in Japan. I had a job here, printmaking. Our kids were in school. We had become established. And three of us in the family, myself and the two kids, really, really, really loved it here. We were happy, we were healthy, we had community. Just everything for us was perfect. But for the lady I was married to, it wasn't perfect. She didn't like it here. She felt that it was stultifying for her. And in some sense, this was actually true. That dream of hers to go to university wasn't possible here. The reason I bring this up now is because somebody asked me, the thing about David being in Tokyo and whatever, and I had said, wherever I am is okay. And that was a big part of the argument, or the discussion between us back then. She's like, it doesn't matter where you are. You're going to be happy wherever you are. You're happy here in Tokyo, but if we go back to Canada, you'll be happy again back there. And this was an undeniably true thing. But also, the reverse was undeniably true. I can't tell too many stories about somebody else, but for her it was the same thing. She was unhappy in Japan, and she would have been unhappy anywhere. And she had to admit to that, but that was sort of true. That was her character and my character were quite different. So there was no clear, easy answer to this. We had become established here. We were a family here. The kids were in school. I had a job, a 10-year job making prints that, of course, I didn't want to just give up and quit on, So it was really a conundrum for us. And we solved it. I put solved in quotation marks. We solved it by me and the kids stayed here, and she went back to Canada to go to school. And she did. She enrolled at UBC there, with the intention of joining the medical program. You don't enroll in the medical program, you enroll in a BA or BS or something, and after a few years you're allowed to consider, moving to whatever it is, the medical part. she went to school, and we stayed here. And for a couple of years it worked, but then one thing led to another, and we divorced, and she made a permanent life over there with somebody else, and I stayed here with the kids. And that was, 30 odd years ago. She left in 1990 to go to school, and we divorced in 1993, I guess. I don't know exactly. I don't remember the details. So I embarked upon life as a single parent with 2 kids here in Japan. My language is terrible. Talk about, what's the word? Getting thrown into the deep end, having to speak the language, 2 kids in school, going to parent-teacher meetings, and it was great fun. This is coming nicely this morning. Nice work. It's a reasonable block. It's not the best block I've ever had, for sure. It's not hard enough, really. If I had a better choice, this wouldn't have been selected. But given the poor choice we have these days, this wood is okay. I'm happy with this. It's gonna carve well, and it should last reasonably well. I don't know. When I saw that video yesterday, I was doing the test, reading through Cameron's video. I saw Suga-san brushing the pigment onto the key block for that one. It's the same series as the one I'm doing right here, I'm yelling at the screen, don't brush so long, it's okay. So, I want the printers to minimize the wear and tear on these blocks, and sometimes they don't really think about it too much. They just brush. She wants to make sure the ink is everywhere. And I'm like, please try and be a bit more efficient with this. Instead of brushing 50 motions, brush with 10 motions. You can get it done as long as you think carefully about it, And if she can brush 10 instead of brushing 50, the block will last 5 times longer. It's a deal. It's a real important deal. Is the wood strong enough to not separate when you apply pressure? When I have 3 small hairs and cut the wood, I'm being really careful about the pressure. I mean, we've talked about this many times. I don't push the knife, I don't plunge it deeply in if the 2 lines I'm cutting are like the ones right now. If the 2 lines are cutting are very close together, like here, the V in between these things, I'm just scratching here. I'm not plunging this knife in. Look, here we are. The knife is just barely in the wood. It's getting deeper and deeper here. And it has stress. You can see this part is moving a little bit here. And now this one, same thing. Just scratch this wood. And now, because the other cut is done, the wood moves away automatically. You can see it coming out, and the leftover lines don't get stressed. Then the next one, the timing is important. We've got a supported side and a non-supported side. I wouldn't carve this side first, because behind the knife is not supported. So carve this one first, where there's support for the wood behind it. And now this one is not supported, but the wood is free to move. So look at this, the wood moves up out of the way as I'm carving, and away she goes. Supported side first, then the unsupported side. And when you get to the end of the row, we get a problem because both sides are unsupported. So just very carefully scratch, scratch. Whoa, whoa, too much talk, too much talk. I have no idea what you're talking about, whatever. How's our time? 8:46, no problem. So it's going to be a race today to see what happens. I have, as I said, I have a show and tell prepared, which is actually a show and tell way too much for one day. We'll open the folio and look inside it. But I'm also of mixed feelings. If the delivery guy comes before 9:15, there's another package coming today with some spectacular prints inside. But again, it's too much for a single show and tell. There's like 24 prints in the package. And we could just take one of them. One of them would be enough for a show and tell. But because the package is just arriving today, I haven't had a chance to study it, look at the dates, figure out when these things were made. So I'm not sure what to do. Look at the prints that I have information on, or take our chance with the new package. Make me look like a fool because I don't know what's inside. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Make a decision at 9:15. Ishikawa-san, 今日いっぱいあったんですね、冷凍庫の中に。で僕3つ取ったんですが、で今日どの予定？また今日またテストですか？
今日まだテストっていうか見本を作る。
うんかな。だから
まだ板も違う、できてなかったから。
ああそうか。じゃ
勝負直して。
そうかそうか。OK じゃあちょっとだけのテストでも。
そうそう。
OK。チョコレートでしょ？
そうチョコレートね。
今さっき話したんですけど、今日はチョコレートかなと。
そう
みんなもうそろそろイースターでしょ。
いやいいさね。
これチョコレート。
あそうね。はい。
どうも。キュー。It's chilly. She opens that door for a couple of minutes and it's chilly. I need my puffy. But she doesn't have a big jacket. Well, she's been on the train. She's such a good worker, you know. No, show and tell tease. I'm not teasing. I'm just actually, there's a decision I've got to make about this. I'm not teasing you. I myself haven't seen this new package. I know what I bought on an auction, but I haven't seen them close up. So yeah, I'm not teasing at all. Have I ever cut an old print when I slice it up on a shipping package? My God, no. I'm really careful, actually. Do I look like I'm being careless? I'm really careful. If you see me slash something with a knife, it's my fingers are underneath lifting it up. I'm never plunge cutting. Absolutely. No. So she opened her umbrella just to go 2 steps. She's a lady. It's okay. She's a lady. Cutting packages, that reminds me, the days back in the music store. Oh my God, the trouble that caused us. We were in this is 1969 or 70 or 71 or something. I forget when it was. I was in the music store back in Canada. Music store means we were selling sheet music. We sold packages of sheet music to schools. So one package would have this deck of music. It would be an inch thick. It's the flute part, clarinet part, trumpet part, all that kind of stuff. So we got these packages of music. And of course we shipped them out in, cardboard boxes, whatever. And we put a sticker on the front of each one, open carefully, don't cut, whatever the sticker we had ready. And so many times, people would just stick a knife in the top. You've taped the top and the 2 ends. They'd stick a knife in the top. And they've cut the flute part in half. You know, the first few sheets of music in there has been cut in half. And they'll send it back, and can we get a replacement? And like, did not you read the thing on the front of the package? Cut carefully, open carefully. So of course we started putting cardboard stuff inside the top one under the package. People would still cut through it. So maybe because I had that experience, now I myself, I'm paranoid. I'm super careful when opening these print packages. And our own print packages that we send out, there's never such a thing as a print underneath the tape part. There's always cardboard inserts inside. So it's funny, here you mention, I thought I was being super careful, and I thought it was kind of obvious I was being super careful, but I guess not. It is a peaceful day here. Yeah, the rain is nice as long as you don't have to be out in it. For people who commute or work outside, there's a construction zone just down the street. When I walked back last night getting my takeout dinner, where the Ginza line finishes, they've had real trouble. The Ginza line was built in 1927, and it was built to 1927 specifications. And it's not really, as it's grown over the years, they would like to expand parts of it, but they can't because it's Tokyo. So they've decided to build a new turnaround for the trains. Right now, at the Asakusa end of the Ginza line, the platform has two platforms. Train comes in, and then it goes out. So it comes in on the left-hand track, and it goes out across the crisscross, chaka-chaka, and it goes out on the left-hand track. So as each train, just before each train goes out, the next one comes in. So there's a little X crisscross. The tracks come in, there's an X crisscross on two platforms. The trains come in and out across these crisscrosses. It's at rush hour, it means one can't move until the next one has finished and coming in. So it's essentially a single track at that point. So what they want to do is they want to build the crisscross behind the platforms. So the trains come in, dump their passengers, go out into the holding zone at the back where there will be room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trains. Then when it's their turn, they come back out to the new platform and head out. So this means digging up Tokyo for like 3 or 4 train platforms underneath. And the Ginza line is a cut and cover. This is not one of those things that's down 100 meters underneath the ground, below all the buildings. It's cut and cover. So they can't go under the buildings because any foundation of a building comes into the ground 3 or 4 meters, and the Ginza line is right, as we are walking, the Ginza line is just right under our feet. So they can only do this new train holding pattern under streets. So all the streets in that area around the end of the Ginza line, this is the Matsuya department store. And it's a multi-year project. It's been going on now for a couple of years maybe, and they've got a couple of years still to go. And all this happens at night. All the streets in that area are now not asphalt, they are all artificial little platforms. So during the day, the platforms are there, the cars run back and forth, and the guys dig underneath. Then at night, and this happens at around 8 or 9 o'clock at night, the cranes come in and they take away all platforms, exposing this whole vast area. It must be god-awful for the people who are living in the apartments near there. And there's no way around it. They just can't dig down deep because that whole train is just cut and covered. So those guys today, they're outside in the rain. The guard men just stand all day in the rain outside there. It was built in 1927. First subway in, not just the first subway in Tokyo, it was the first subway in Asia, so I read. This was before, Hong Kong or anything. Tokyo was the leader there. First subway in Asia, 1927. It was the Ginza line. And they only had 3 stations at first. It was Ueno, and then Inaricho, and then Tauramachi. It didn't come to Asakusa, all the way to Asakusa first. And the purpose of the subway was to bring people to the entertainment district here, to bring people to this street, Rokudori. This was the target street to bring people from the main train networks at Ueno. That was why the subway was built in Tokyo first. To bring customers to my shop. It's funny. It's true. It's true. We've got a couple of books here with photographs from those days, photographs of the old trains and of Asakusa in the days when it was big. The reason they built that train was Asakusa area was Tokyo's entertainment area. It was before movies. This is 1927. Before movies, radio even was no big deal. And when people wanted entertainment or wanted to do something, there weren't like all these things all over town to do this. Everything was packed into one area. The area here, Rokudori and Mairimachi, an area just behind here. And this was Tokyo's entertainment district, and of course the Yoshiwara further up the street. So whatever kind of entertainment you had your eye on, it was happening here. And that train was built to bring people up here. Before that, it was rickshaw carts. You get your train to Ueno Station, jump on a rickshaw, and get delivered to Asakusa. sounding busy out there. What's going on? Nothing. Just deliveries, is it? I have no idea what you're talking about again. Crows, I guess, mostly right now, they show. So, crows. The crow population here seems, I guess, as far as I understand it, seems quite stable. There's no discussion of a big problem. They're not, every now and then they come down and grab a garbage bag or something, but the garbage rules here are we're not supposed to put any edible garbage out at night. The pickups start at 8 o'clock or 8:30 in the morning, and we're supposed to put the garbage out as soon as, as soon as we can, meaning just whatever, last minute before the truck gets here is the idea. So we don't put garbage out the evening before because it's crows and rats. So this thing seems to be fairly stable. I'm not aware of any problem that crows are overrunning the neighborhood or anything like this. We don't hear about an eradication program or something like that. So rats are trouble, but the crows. So it's nearly delivery time, right? Looks like maybe we might not get our delivery. Who knows? So the show and tell decision will be made for me. If there's no delivery, then so be it. We'll work with something else. I have something else planned, of course. So. Seems like everybody's enjoying themselves over there, I guess. Is this normal for a Twitch stream? I don't know. I don't watch Twitch myself, so I don't have any sense of what's a typical chat or what's normal. The few times I have poked around on Twitch, like how does this work? You see somebody playing a game and 10,000 or 100,000 people are watching and the chat just moves so fast you can't see anything. So there is no actual human conversation, But all Twitch chats can't be like that. There must be some others that are sort of like this, conversation. Is this typical or normal? Or I don't know. The other thing too, the guys who are doing, gaming on Twitch, you're playing some game and it needs reactions and reactions. You got to watch what you're doing. Surely in that kind of game too, you can't sit here reading a chat. You're going to get blown up while you're reading it, So I don't know how they handle that either. So. Somebody was talking about that before, that I should get some kind of headset so that I can do my carving and read the chat at the same time. But I'm like, I don't really think I want to go there. Whatever. Okay, looks like we're just about there. Let's see, finish this last little whisker. What did you do during the war, Daddy? I carved puppy whiskers. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's put this away for a while. Okay, the package didn't arrive, so no problem. We will simply look at the other package that I prepared, which is interesting stuff. When the package does eventually get here, we'll look at it some future day. So here we go. What I've got for you today is, we're not going to be able to see the whole thing because it's a set. It's a set of prints. Let's move this down out of the way. We're going to need as much real estate here as I can possibly get. Let's move this out of the way. Now this is a semi-fragile item. Oisho. Maybe what we'll do is here. It's a set. It's one of these portfolio sets. It's a portfolio from the late Meiji period. I don't have an actual date on this. Best guess, myself, Doi-san looked at it too. We know the publisher's name. They were active in the last few years of the Meiji time and into the first few years of Taisho. So we are looking at, 1910, give or take a handful of years. We're looking at 1910. This is long after the Meiji Restoration. This is the end of the Meiji period. So we've got a folio of prints. And how they were originally sold, we're not quite sure. They may have been subscription. They may have been sold individually and a customer made the folio himself. That's quite possible. or they may have been sold in this folio. It's Kaneko. This is written by some collector later on. Kaneko Fusui Han Sanju Go Mai, which is a lie. There are 36 prints in the package, but somebody has written 35. Kaneko is somebody's name. Fusui, this is uki, floating water. It's a made-up art name. And this is the name of the publisher. It was called, we'll see on the prints. The publisher's name is on the prints. Now, this folio is really delicate, so in order not to make a mess of it, I am going to lift up the print packs here and put this folio, which is on the verge of collapsing, out of the way. It's on its last legs. It's already come apart piece by piece by piece. Okay, the deal is these are Utamoro print reproductions, and these are the most staggering, stunning, high-quality reproductions you will ever see anywhere, anyhow. These reproductions are better, and I say this with no qualification, these are more carefully made, they are better prints than the original editions from the Edo era. I thought I had a link ready for you, but I don't. Let me type it in here. These prints are online, https mokohankan.com collection. Oh, I don't remember that. Just go to the collection. Go to the collection, search for yourself. Go to the search box, look for print sets, and find the newest print set that's been added to it. Oh, it's upside down. How did these get upside down? These are glorious, glorious, glorious reproductions. It's the carving. It's the carving. Well, I myself have made a reproduction of this same design, so I know what this is about here. They are carved beautifully. The mica powder is done perfectly. They all have the carver's and printer's name on them. And the carving is Takano Shinosuke, and the printing is, it's Onotomi Saburo. And these are known workers. These are top guns from that era, Meiji era. There's 36 prints here. We can't possibly show details of them all. What I want to do is I want to pick a couple of things here. Okay, this one will do it. Yaege. You're about to learn a new Japanese word. We talked about it before. In fact, Mr. Kantar was looking for a kanji for this, which I still don't know. This is yaege. The previous print had the hair carved just in the classical ukiyo-e way. Hair coming out straight, 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 straight. There we go. This is not hair pointing down. Her hair has been pulled back. You're looking at the roots here. These are the roots of the hair that has been pulled back, and we are seeing the hair on this part of her head. These are not hairs falling forward like that. And this is the same, and these are pulled back in groups. The way the carving, instead of carving straight off each one, your knife has to stop so it doesn't bump into. And it's to die for. It's to die for. The quality of the carving and the quality of the printing is just astonishing. When I first got these, I bought them on an internet auction. I knew it was an okay set. I had heard about it. I'd never seen it. I paid a bit more than I wanted to pay for it, but when it arrived, it was an earth-shattering moment to open these packages. 35 of them here, 36 of them. They are now online in high resolution, and just. Everybody here has seen these. Sugi-san was looking at them yesterday. I brought them out yesterday, getting ready for the show and tell today to look through. And Sugi-san is just like, this isn't real, is it? This isn't real. I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Look at the embossing. even the nice smooth clean hairs behind her neck. It's like some machine did it, some nanometer whatever machine did it, but it didn't. This is one guy sitting there with a piece of wood, just like you saw me doing a moment ago. I cannot touch this. Well, I can get close, but and it goes on and on and on, sheet after sheet after sheet. 36 of these prints. It's not just the hair, all the carving, like pick a random place, like whatever. The lines of her nose and the line of her hand here. This is carved on wood. What you're looking at is a leftover piece of wood that gets scrubbed with pigment and then printed. If I didn't know that this was real, I would just think, nah, these are just whatever. This is a machine that made this kind of stuff, and there's no way this can't be carved. But everything you were looking at was carved and then printed. Let's find that thing again. Here we go. Here we go. It's Hori Takano Shinosuke, and the printing Suri Ono Tomisaburo, and two guys who are absolute masters at this. Absolute masters. This is one of the print sets that, like, if there was a fire here and I can only grab one thing and run outside, I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And yeah, this is maybe one of the ones that I would grab. As of last night, they are now online. Watanabe-san shot them here last Friday. She sent me the pictures last night. They went up online last night, and I opened the page this morning. So if you go to a website, you can key in the word Utamoro or something. I forget the number. It's 00238, I think, is the catalog number for this. And the problem with this is it just gets too much. Because there's 36 prints here, you look at one and you look at two, and then you flip the page and flip the page and flip the page. And I can't even look at them anymore. There's just... They have that particular way of doing color from the Taisho era. The colors here are not exactly the colors that were in the original. They've got a Taisho era coloring, which is a little bit strange. But the carving, oh my God, the carving. I said at the beginning that these are more carefully made than the originals, and it's true. When the originals were made, they were made as a clear commercial endeavor. Cut it, put it in the market, sell as many as you can, go. Cut, get more, get more. They were quick and dirty. The carvers in the old days were good. It was very close to this. But the difference is there wasn't really any special level of care taken. But now you come here to the end of Meiji and Taisho, we've still got that level of craftsmen available, but now they know that people are watching. Look at this. Look at the length of this one. They now know that this hair here, it's so delicate. Can you see it? So when I say these guys know that people are watching, what I mean is there's a number of different publishers doing this. And they are clearly now trying to do it as well as it possibly can be made. Carefully, carefully, carefully. And customers were willing to pay for it. By this era too, this is no longer the bowl of noodle 400 yen price for a woodblock print. These would have been expensive items here at the end of Meiji. These are now collectors, not collector's items in the rare sense. These are things that people were collecting and willing to pay a reasonable price for. So the Meiji publisher had that advantage over the old publisher. His customers were willing to pay more. Dave, the black dots in the hair. What are we talking about, the black dots in the hair? Can you give me a hint here? No numbering here, no numbering. These are commercial items for sale. No numbering. The darker, larger patches, black dots in the hair. I'm not sure what you're saying. there's a couple of different blocks involved here. This nose and the hair and the faint stuff is one key block. It's a very faint gray block. On top of that, what you see as black here is a color block printed on top. And these lines are cut out of that black block, and they are the gray showing through from underneath. And the finer areas look like printer's error. I'm blah, 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 last close-up. I'm not sure what we're looking at here. You mean in this one? These little black dots? Yeah, this is a mistake. This is not perfect. This is little dots of pigment. Is that what we're talking about? Yeah, these are not perfect. If we get microscopic, that little dot should not be there. That little dot should not be here. Tear this up and throw it away. Reject it. Back to the drawing board. I don't know. Yeah. I think this is, to me, this is the work being done a little bit too quickly. The pigment is not ground as finely as it should have been done. But I got to tell you, do you have any idea how difficult this is? You know. So yeah, they're not perfect, okay? They're not perfect. And they just go one after the other after the other. When I first got this, you know, I was just whatever. They've also done some things like this. They brought a modern feeling to this. Look at what we see down here on this kimono. This was almost never done in the Edo era. There may be one or two cases of it visible on an Utamoro print. It was not a thing. They have done this with what's called baransuji, using the lines of the rubbing tool to leave an effect in the print. And back in the Edo area, such a thing was inconceivable. The tools, the brushes, the rubbing pad, the knives, the tools were invisible. If a tool mark was left in something, this is a mistake. The 20th century people do this all the time. You want blood on the block. You leave the baron marks, you leave the tool marks. You want to see it as a woodblock print for 20th century artistic work. But in this area, reproduction work, you never, ever wanted to see the tool marks. So this is really unusual. But as I said, this is a bit of a bastardization. This is not the Edo era. This is a Meiji era reproduction. And this publisher must have decided, okay, let's get a bit of woodblock feeling in here. So people know, maybe by this time they're trying to show that people know it's not mechanically made. I don't know. So somebody says, if I drop a hair on the print here, the carved ones are going to be thinner, you know. So someone says he likes the tool marks, gives it a bit of texture, but you're a 21st century person, you know. Back in the old days, no. The tool marks would not have been. It's like an iPhone. Do you want to see tool marks on your iPhone? You do not want to see tool marks on your iPhone. And it was the same thing back in the old days. Famous design, very, very famous design. This publisher has done something interesting. In this set, this is not the set of the same cliched, common Utamoro ones we see all the time. There are 3 or 4 common, popular Utamoro pictures in here, but for the most part, like that last one, these are images that no other publisher has reproduced. So this is a very, very unusual set in that sense. The images that the publisher chose to include were really not common images at all. Here we have one, it's straight hair, and this is 2 blocks. This is 2 blocks. So what you're seeing here, there's 2 blocks to make these up. About the part maybe visible below my finger there is the faintest hair block. And then there is another hair block, the black one, overlaps on top. And you can maybe see a bit of a line where the top block finishes. Do you see it here? There's a bit of a line there where the top hair block fits on top of the bottom hair block. But it's matched up hair by hair, hair by hair. Just whatever. whatever. It's just impossible. Nobody could even dream of trying to make stuff like this these days. We've got one in our Mokohankan catalog like this. I carved one like this for an experiment, but this is just crazy, crazy. Okay, we'll wrap this up. I'm not going to go through all 35 here. They are on the website. I don't know, did somebody put a link on? If you go to our collection, I'll put the link in just so we get this into the record here. Oh. Let me just take a trouble here and do this. Okay, here we are. Koringami beat me by a second or two. There you are. Okay, there we are. That's the set. And they're in high resolution. Drag them with your fingers, pop them up, and have a look. Okay, there we have it. There we have it. After we go over the stream, I'm going to take these upstairs and have a look. You know, it's been a long time since I've had a look at them myself. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay. Chocolate eggs snatched from Dave. Good for it. Good for it. Okay. All right. Today's Saturday. I'll be back here 2 days from now, Monday morning for me. I've seen comments here about time zone changes. To remind you again, there are no time zone changes in Japan. I'm going to do the same thing at the same time, same station, everything. But if your own time has changed, please be aware the stream may appear at a different time where you live if your clock is changing. So check it out. I'll be here at 8 o'clock Monday morning, Tokyo time. You can work out your own time. Okay, thanks very much. There was a package going to be delivered this morning which has some stunning prints. We will look at that in the next show and tell. And I tell you, we could do the whole 90 minutes just looking at those prints because they are really, really interesting. I won't do that. We'll use the last 15 minutes, and then maybe we'll do part 1, part 2, part 3. We'll see. We'll see. Someone's asking if we have a shop where we buy woodblocks. Yes, we do. Just mokohankan.com. Go to the top page of the link I just put out there a few minutes ago. Okay, I am out of here. Thanks very much. I'll be enjoying chatting, reading the chat stream here when I do eat my lunch later. See you in a couple more days. Thank you very much. I'll pop the outside up just for a minute. Before I sign off, I'll bring up the outside rainy season here. The bicycle almost certainly is something that was left there last night by a visitor to one of the bars. And when he came out of the bar, he either forgot he had a bicycle or he was in no condition to ride it. It will be picked up sometime this morning, almost certainly. Okay, we'll shut her down. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye for now.